And Richard has had really quite an amazing recovery journey. I know for you at points, Richard, really, really challenging. But a bit like Alex, for you, this started when you were very, very young. So you were what, 14, I think, when you first got ill?
I was, yes. Yeah, and interestingly, I got ill, my dad got ill, and my friend at school got ill. We found out 12 years later that we'd all had brucellosis,
Right.
which is a crazy amount of time to not know what's
Yeah,
going on. Um,
absolutely. And I know for them it took a long time to recover as well, but nothing
it
like
did,
obviously the time frame that it took for you. So for them,
yeah.
what was their recovery
They
process?
took 6 to 9 months to recover, and it was a very gradual, being able to do a little more, having setbacks, and eventually, they got fully recovered. It was probably a couple of years before they were properly free of it.
Really? Okay.
So
But
nasty infection.
for you, what obviously that wasn't your process.
No.
So what happened for you? Obviously you, and I know that you sort of kind of improved and then got worse a couple of times,
Yeah.
but yeah, what was the
Well,
overall picture for you?
the overall picture was I was following a similar trajectory
Yeah.
to my dad and my friend. We were having good days, bad days, but I tried far too hard.
Okay.
So I wouldn't just do, a half day if I could. I would blast through a full day.
Yeah.
And a couple of times I almost recovered, and it's so frustrating. Completely lost. What do I do? No idea.
And the net effect of that for you, I know, was real anxiety. It was just
The net effect was, yeah, I gradually lost touch with all of my friends. Then they all went off to uni, and that was the end of my social life, really, at that point. It was very limited up to then, but then it was completely gone. And just really just drifted into, just I call it the wilderness years, just slowly drifted into depression, anxiety, almost never left the house.
a little bit like Alex has described, I think, in a lot of his interviews as well. I mean, it's this real loss of your teenage years, isn't it?
Yeah.
That your teenage years were really marred by
Yeah.
this experience of anxiety, illness, not understanding what was happening to you or why you were so different to your friends as they went off to uni
Absolutely.
and had social lives, and you, by the sounds of it, became more and more isolated and more of that.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and what's more is I didn't feel I deserved anything different.
Well, so
So
let's talk about that.
mhm.
That, the level of anxiety, the depression, the sense of, as you say, of not quite deserving. What do you think some of that was about?
I think it came from my parents being very, very hard on themselves. My parents both had difficult childhoods in very different ways.
Yeah.
In some ways, they gave us a spectacular childhood. We really didn't want for anything as children,
Yeah.
but my parents were very driven people, to the point that I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did as much as they did.
So a model of lots of doing and
Yeah,
pushing was something that you grew
yeah,
up with.
absolutely. And somehow, my parents achieved a lot. They were very much in that achiever model.
Yeah, but for you, obviously, you were a very sensitive. Having
I
talked to you,
think
you were a
so.
very sensitive kid in that environment. There was a great deal of great stuff there, but not a lot
Yeah,
of time and maybe emotional energy. For you.
absolutely. Yeah. So I think when you have a childhood like that, you think, well, I've got all this great stuff, it must have been great. So to then contemplate that you might need other things, that you might need emotional support, that you might be worthy of that is a challenge. It was a completely foreign concept to me that I might have any kind of needs at all. I don't know how you didn't laugh, because you'd say to me, oh, so how was it when you were, getting ill and everything was, falling apart? Oh, it was terrible. It was awful. And how did you feel about that? Oh, it was fine. Yeah, it was fine. And when, like, you almost got better and you crashed, that must have been terrible. Yeah, it's awful. It's so bad. It was awful. How did you feel about it? Oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know how you didn't laugh, because it's gone on for months, because I needed to see it for myself.
Yeah.
And literally month after month after month, you say, oh, how was this? Oh, it's fine. It was fine. And then eventually I was like, oh, I see what you're doing.
It clicked.
Oh, I get it. And then,
Yeah.
this a massive moment of realization. Oh, I'm suppressing all of my emotions.
Right.
And then I could feel this like plug pressing down on my emotions in my chest and
Right.
just very slowly unwinding that. That was a long, long process. The only positive out of that time was I realized I was a celiac. So
Right.
there was starting to sort of play with nutrition and see what was going on.
Yeah.
And I have a thing called gluten ataxia. So
Right.
if I eat gluten, I am paralyzed for about an hour.
Yeah.
And I can just about wiggle my finger a bit, but otherwise I lie on the floor and can't move. So it became pretty obvious that I was a celiac. I got to about 20, I think, and just thought, I've got to change this. I can't stay as I am.
Yeah.
So I got myself a little motorbike so that I would be mobile, joined the local ME group. It didn't necessarily get me better, but I started to do something.
Yes. Well, and I guess there must have been some relief in recognizing that you weren't alone, that there were other people who had this condition.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And what it was, right? There's some kind of relief in that, even in itself, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And for someone who literally had no friends at that point, I didn't speak to anyone for several years, I think.
Yeah.
It seems like a different person looking back. It's amazing, really. Yeah, I made some fantastic friends at the ME group. Yeah, to see people in the same situation, it really helped.
So it was a real lifeline for you at that point.
It was, absolutely.
To find other people and to have that connection. And it almost became your world, your social world as well.
It did.
Physically, I think we have to fast forward a few years, really, still, before that you certainly before you came to clinic, the Optimum Health Clinic, and then began to kind of actually make some real physical progress, I think, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Rather unfortunately, I went to an eye-wateringly expensive hospital, private hospital. That treated chronic fatigue and that kind of thing. I'm horrified to say I spent £40,000 on treatments. I was on antibiotics for 3 years, intravenous antibiotics, so into veins, in hospital for 12 weeks.
Amazing.
And after that, I became absolutely intolerant to almost all supplements.
Right.
It trashed my digestion, and I wasn't any better. I just couldn't take. I can't even take vitamin C to this day.
Yeah.
If I take a vitamin C tablet, I will feel like I've got the flu. But the upshot of that was that I thought, right, I have done the most expensive physical treatment I can possibly do for ME. Here's the perfectionist thing again. I've done this. There's nothing better. I've done that now. Right, let's look at the psychology.
Okay.
So initially, I got some books on NLP and started reading those. And that was really interesting. I started being able to play with how I felt. It wasn't really how I felt, because at that point, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
But I was playing with, where in my body thoughts were.
Your internal world.
My internal world, that's it.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, this is really quite interesting. Without connecting into the emotional stuff.
Yeah.
It's, it's like trying to drive a car with a steering wheel but no gear stick, or you're only going to get so far. And it's not going to work.
What have you learned? What have been the biggest learnings, do you think, through this?
I think the biggest thing that people said, but I didn't actually take on board, was that you don't have to be perfect. It's very hard to take that on board when you're trying to be perfect all the time. But I genuinely have been probably off course for at least 90% of the time.
Okay, so in the recovery process.
In the recovery process, yeah, absolutely. You really don't have to do it perfectly. And it's quite important to do the work, on yourself, and to, process things as they come up and do all that stuff that you do, and to look at nutrition, but then also to just live for a while.
Yeah. So
that it's not just an academic exercise.
Gotcha.
And you can see what happens. And it can be very uncomfortable doing that.
So really learning how to kind of make those connections between your needs and then, as you say, first off, believing that you deserved to meet them, it was important to meet them, but then obviously going beyond that to actually meeting them as well.
Yeah. And it was a very bumpy path.
How is it different now to how you would have been?
I think the difference is now that I make sure that I am in control of my schedule, of what I do. And being a gas engineer, you sometimes you'll get emergencies come up.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
someone needs a boiler fitting now, and
Yeah,
it's going to take 2 days, and you have to
yeah.
reschedule everything. And but I make sure that I stay in control of that. And if I
Absolutely.
start to feel uncomfortable now, I know that my schedule is maybe not optimal, or there is something I need to resolve. And I'll look at my diary and think, oh yeah, that's what I'm worrying about.
Right.
I'm worried because,
Or you look inside, right? You're able now to kind of
yeah,
connect in and tune into what it is internally.
what is it that I'm missing that I need?
Right.
Oh, I need a drink. Oh, I'm fine now.
Got you.
I think connecting with people as well.
Right.
You can't do this in a bubble, like you say.
Yeah.
It's really uncomfortable to start with. A lot of these things are really uncomfortable, and I want you to know that.
Well, and sitting with
it's not been an easy process.
Right? No, but I think being able to sit with the discomfort, to be able to
that's it.
and explore it, right?
My approach before would have been, oh, well, this is uncomfortable. I'm going to go and, I'm going back to my room. I'm not having any part of this.
Right.
And yeah, just realizing that discomfort means you're making some sort of progress. You will learn something from this,
right?
No matter how uncomfortable it is.
That's a really important piece, isn't it? As you say,
it's so important. It's so important.
Right.
It's not. The anxiety is often a byproduct of other stuff that's going on. It just tells you that there's something happening.
Right, absolutely. So the anxiety becomes a red flag, the discomfort becomes a red flag to pay attention to something, like a calling to pay attention inside. And
absolutely. How am I feeling? What do I need? What is going on? It's not necessarily looking at the anxiety. Why do I feel anxious? I feel anxious. Okay, what else is happening? So 10 years ago, I was a virgin. I was living with my parents. I couldn't drive. I had my motorbike, but I couldn't. It was a provisional license. I couldn't drive. And I was working in Oxfam, but I didn't have a career. I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
And life was pretty bleak, really. I started working with yourself.
Yeah.
I think I just started working with you then. And yeah, that shift has been enormous. And today,
where you're at today,
I own my own house with my fiance.
Yes, congratulations.
Thanks very much. I have a dog. She's 3 years old. She was 3 years old last week.
Yeah.
I'm a qualified gas engineer. I run a plumbing and heating company.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Well, that'll do, right? You have this full life. You're in a band. You've got.
I play in a band. That's the other one. Yeah. So
obviously, other than this last year, right? But
yeah. There's no playing in bands at the moment, and I think I was pretty broken when we started, and pretty difficult to work with. So I think it took as long as it needed to take.
Absolutely, and for you to get exactly where you need to be. So anyway, thank you so much for sharing today. I hope that's been useful for those out there, and speak soon.
Thanks very much.